Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Picture This Film Reviews, where I am Dan, and this.
I'm Matt. Hey.
So for those who are returning to us, you know what we do. We come together, we talk about movies, most of the time reviews, but this is actually one of those episodes that we're going to be talking about things that aren't really out there for the general viewing public yet. So what do we know? What do we know? And if you tuned into our last episode, you watched us talk about what did we talk about, Matt?
Indiana Jones, baby. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, sorry.
Dig it. I dig it. We could do a whole episode just doing that. But yeah, we talked about the Last Crusade, and Matt really got into depth with his review on that. But really, it brings us to this moment. We have a new movie coming out at the end of July, and guess who that's about? Who's it about, Matt?
It is Indiana Jones. Bum, bum, bum,
Holy crap!
bum, 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 bum.
I
End
mean,
of
number
June, by
one,
the way. You said end of July. It's end of
oh
June.
shoot, I'm sorry, June 30th, right?
Yes.
So that's super awesome. So if you tuned in the last episode, you heard Matt kick it off, and then I got into my review this way, or today, this episode, we're going to reverse it a little bit. I introduced Mr. Matt's going to give us some interesting facts. So, Mr. Matt, what have you heard about this movie that's about to grace our screens?
All right, guys. This is everything we know so far about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That being one of the things. It's the official title, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I think most people at this point now know if you're following this movie at all. It is set to release, as mentioned a minute ago, June 30th of this year. So we are exactly a month away as we're recording this. By the time you're watching it, we're less than a month away. So that's exciting. Or no, yeah, exactly a month. I can't do numbers. It is directed by James Mangold, um, and composing the music for the fifth time is none other than John Williams himself.
Man, we're glad you stuck around, man. It's going to be great to have
Yeah.
you back.
Was he 95, 91, 92, 90
I
something?
mean, he's got to be getting up there, but musically, he's still in his prime, baby.
Yes. If you name an iconic film score, there's a 75% chance that John Williams scored it. So there's that. And he's done all the indie movies. So great to have him back one final time. Um, that being said, this is the definitive final Indiana Jones film. Most of the action will take place during 1969, during the space race, evidently. However, the opening sequence will feature a de-aged Indy at a Nazi castle in 1944. We have photos of a de-aged CGI Harrison Ford, which I think look fantastic. It looks just like he did, 30 years ago or whatever. Um, so Indiana Jones 5, the last movie. Now, we don't know if that means are we going to get a spin-off, or are we going to get a remake, or we don't know. But for now, this is it. Harrison Ford is returning the fifth and final time to his legendary role as Indiana Jones. He himself has described this film as, quote, full of adventure, laughs, and real emotion. He says it's complex and sneaky, whatever that means. Then we have Phoebe Waller Bridge co starring as Indy's goddaughter, Helena. The character is described as a mystery and a wonder. The character was evidently inspired by Barbara Stanwyck's role in the 1941 comedy The Lady Eve. I've not seen that movie, so I don't know. But that's evidently where they got the inspiration from for her character. Um, got a couple more casting announcements, and then we get into the other things. Mads Mikkelsen. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Mads Mikkelsen's villainous character will be named Voller. He's a Nazi scientist. Indian Nazis. He just has terrible luck with Nazis, man. I mean, jeez. Uh,
I think the whole premise is that once they left being Nazis, they all became scientists for the space race.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's Nazi scientist turned NASA engineer, inspired by the real life Werner van Braun. He's a man who would like to correct some of the mistakes of his past, is what the quote is here that I have. Um, then we have Boyd Holbrook, who's playing Clabber, another villain, and quote, crazy lapdog to Voller. And then the cast also features Shawnette Renee Wilson, Thomas Kretschmann, Toby Jones, Antonio Banderas. Hello, Puss in Boots, or Zorro, or wherever you may know Antonio from. Um, and the returning John Rhys Davies, who's coming back for the first time since Last Crusade. He was in Raiders and he was in Last Crusade, and now he's back for this final film. It'll be great to see him. Next, director James Mangold. Here we go. Here's a big thing that's on everyone's mind. What about Crystal Skull? Is it connected? Are we going to see Shia LaBeouf pop up on screen? Well, James Mangold has that answer, and he says that Indy's son, Mutt, played by Shia LaBeouf, will not be in Dial of Destiny, but the audience will find out, quote, what happened to him.
Between Skull and this.
Yeah. So this is set in, what did I say, 69? I don't remember when.
Space Race.
I don't remember when King Crystal Skull was set, but I imagine however many years it's been since that movie and this movie, probably around this, you know.
I could have just Googled it. I'm sorry. It's all good. Don't worry.
Sorry, as you stall with the information, I'm gonna be looking this up.
Okay. But so no LaBeouf, but you will find out what happened to him.
1957.
1957 to 1969. So that's what, 12 years? So there's that. So in 12 years' time, we'll see what happened. The runtime for this movie is 2 hours and 22 minutes, making it the longest Indiana Jones movie in the franchise.
That's still a good length for a film, to be honest.
Yeah.
Going out.
No, I think it, like, honestly, for Indiana Jones films, like, that seemed right, though. Kayla's disagreeing with me in the background.
Most of them are around 2 hours. I can't remember the exact time of each of them, but I know they're around that. They hover around that 2 hour mark. The official description I'll read it to you. Experience the return of legendary hero Indiana Jones in the 5th installment of this beloved swashbuckling series of films. Finding himself in a new era, approaching retirement, Indy wrestles with fitting into a world that seems to outgrown him. But as the tentacles of an all too familiar evil return in the form of an old rival, Indy must don his hat and pick up his whip one more time to make sure an ancient and powerful artifact doesn't fall into the wrong hands. I mean, sounds legit. Sounds like an indie movie.
Well, it's going to be interesting, too, because I know we're talking about Indiana Jones. We're going to have flashbacks to 1944. So
Right.
he was in his prime at that point. And now we're fast forwarding to an old Indy. So going to have to rely on the old noggin more than necessarily his old whip to get out of some situations. So that'll be interesting to see for sure.
Right. The film has been rated PG-13 for sequences of violence and action, also language and smoking. Steven Spielberg himself has stated that Indiana Jones will not be killed off in this film. I think everyone can set their minds at ease a little bit because, let's face it, these kind of movies, especially these legacy movies that come out years after the last sequel, you kind of get a little worried, especially with Harrison Ford. We saw him in another franchise get killed off. So, that's a little sets everybody's nerves at ease a little bit, I think. And then this is a long one, but it's the last one I got regarding the ending of the movie. And I don't know too much about what this was, other than I think there were just people kind of speculating that, maybe the goddaughter is going to take over or another Indy's going to come, something like that. So on his Twitter account, director James Mangold addressed the rumors surrounding test screenings of the movie that had been incredibly negative, particularly with regarding to the end. In response to these rumors, Mangold made it unmistakably clear that, quote, no one is taking over or replacing Indiana Jones in any version of the story. To further quote, one more time, no one is taking over or replacing Indy or donning his hat, nor is he being erased through some contrivance. And he never was, not in any cut or of any script that we've ever had. But trolls will troll. That's how they get their clicks. And please don't exhaust me with pointing out how once in a while a troll can be right. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. All one has to do is look at set photos and interviews, and you get enough info to make wild guesses about a movie plot. The difference between trolling a-holes, sorry, this is still James Mangold's quote. The difference between trolling a-holes and everyone else is they are trying to make money off of your feelings about other films and culture war politics. They push controversial guesses as coming from sources, quote, to get clicks and clickbait. Let it go. So he seems pretty adamant that we will not be getting a new Indy, or no one will be replacing Indy, or anything like that. So we'll see.
Man, I don't know. Well, one thing we didn't hit on here is the reviews that are coming out. I think that it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
This isn't getting a lot of love from the critics, and it looks like I know one we used to talk about quite a bit, Rotten Tomatoes. We've got it pegged at a 50. But I gotta tell you, Matt, on your last episode that we did, we're talking about Last Crusade being your favorite out of the franchise. That one only received a 66% critics review. So are we really worried about what the critics are saying? What do you think?
I mean, I'm going to see it either way. In my mind, it can't be worse than the last one they did. But even though I've heard some reviews say we didn't know how good we had it with Crystal Skull, like, what, really? Are you going to tell me it's that bad? There's no way it can be that bad. At least I hope not. And when the reviews first started coming out, the first handful I saw were positive. A lot of people were saying this is the definitive end to Indiana Jones. This is a great ending to the character. And then all of a sudden, right after, like within an hour or two, all these negative reviews started coming in, and it just became overwhelming with negative more than positive. So, I think it's a thing where you're just gonna have to make up your own mind. It might be very uh, divisive in that way. It might be something where some people love it and think, oh yes, this is the perfect end, and it might be something where people are like, eh, or it might be some people like, no, ugh. you know. To me, the series is 1, 2, and 3. Raiders, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade. Um, I don't hardly ever acknowledge Crystal Skull. Whether or not this one I will acknowledge, I don't know. But I'm still going to watch them all, no matter, even if they put out, which they say they're not going to. And at Ford's age, I believe them. But if they were to put out 10 more of these movies, I still go see every single one. But in my mind, for my own peace of mind, Indiana Jones's story is Raiders, Temple, and Last Crusade.
You got to tip your hat, honestly, to Harrison Ford and to Steven Spielberg and the countless others that brought this character to life over the years. Lucasfilms, a huge role onto it. I mean, I know Matt talked about a little bit in the last episode too that this was kind of the answer to James Bond, James Bond-esque persona. And I'll be honest, you go anywhere in the world, you talk about James Bond, they're gonna know who you're talking about, and you get that same response if you talk about Indiana Jones. And honestly, the fact that you said that Harrison Ford's not going to get killed off, it'd be nice because they did leave it in a couple of the films where he could have had a happy ever
Yeah.
after. Hopefully the character gets what they deserve out of that. And as an audience, hell, we get one more opportunity to go on an adventure with one of our favorite heroes that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, let's saddle up for one last ride and dial into the dial of destiny.
Yeah, will see. That's like a perfect ending. I don't think I should say anything after that. But, if I mean, to me, if they give me plenty of action, plenty of adventure, throw in some humor like that Last Crusade humor we were talking about, and let Indy ride off into the sunset, like much like Last Crusade. Give him a happy ending, then I think I'll be satisfied. That's all I want out of this movie. If you don't give me those things, then I might be disappointed. But if you give me those things, I'll probably enjoy it. So,
As far as the Dial of Destiny, it was just coming to theaters?
yeah, it's not like streaming at the same time or anything. It's theater only.
Got you. And I saw that after its theatrical windows concluded, it will also be made available to watch via Disney's streaming service.
Yes. So the four original films are currently, as of just recently, they started streaming on Disney Plus. So if you got the Plus, you can now watch Indiana Jones 1 through 4 and catch up before the new movie. Because Disney owns the world, and now they have Indy as well.
It can't be any worse than Jurassic Park.
See,
Jurassic World didn't make
way to throw that in. I mean, it can be tastefully done. It can be tastefully done. You can return to a franchise and do something well, but
And we've seen it done not well. We've seen it done, like she just said, Jurassic World Dominion, and then another one, Halloween Ends, comes to mind. And, you have these final movies, these you have these final movies with the original actors. Like you look at something like Jurassic World, and you have all the original cast. You have Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, along with the new cast that you've created, and that's the movie you make about locusts. Okay. And you have Halloween Ends. You get Jamie Lee Curtis, one final showdown with Michael Myers. And that's the movie you make, a love story about Corey and her granddaughter. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, is there some good in those movies? I personally think so. But are they good movies overall? No. And they're terrible endings to great franchises. So I hope that we at least get a somewhat satisfying ending, and it's not like those other two or others that we've not mentioned. There's my 2 cents.
well, definitely thank you, Matt, for all the information. And folks, I appreciate you tuning in with us as we went on this journey. It's kind of a new thing for us to talk about something that's not out yet, and there's some speculation, but a lot more is becoming clear as we come closer to the premiere to theaters around the world. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll be doing more of this in the future. So be sure to tune in with us at Picture This Film Reviews. We love having you here. Hopefully by this video we might have 4 or 5 people watching with us, so that would be pretty cool.
You got to build that audience back up.
Yeah, man. We're here to stay. We're here to put out more content. Heck, might be more stuff coming down the line. And Matt, I know we had briefly talked about potentially letting folks know what our next episode is going to be about. Did you want to spill the beans on that one?
Sure. So we had a request, and because we only have 2.5 people watching, uh, you know, we take requests. So and even if we had, I think, well, at one point we did have thousands of people watching, so we still took requests. So we'll always take requests. But shout out to a friend of the show, Kurt Hill, who requested Evil Dead Rise, which is a newer movie, came out a few months ago. So that's going to be our next episode. We're going to be talking about the new Evil Dead movie. I know I have seen it. I went to theaters and saw it, but I have not gone back and revisited it since. Dan, you have not seen it at all, right? So this will be interesting. I know what my initial thought was, but we'll see if that holds up once upon a reviewing, and see what your initial thoughts are.
So just out of curiosity, I have seen the other movies, but would this be okay just before I get into it as a standalone, or is this?
Oh yeah, totally. You don't have to see really any other Evil Dead movie to watch this. It's perfectly good by itself. It has the same tone as the 2013 Evil Dead movie remake, but I'm still calling it a remake until it is 100% confirmed that it's not. Rumors it might be all canon and connected, but for now it's the 2013 remake.
We got the multiverse going on here,
Yeah,
guys.
and if that happens, we'll have another one of these episodes all about Evil Dead stuff. But no, you don't have to, there's no connection in at this moment to any of the other movies. So
Yeah, well, I will say, Kurt, definitely looking forward to getting into this, man. And again, I know Matt said suggestions on films that you like to see us review. I'd also be interested in franchises at this point because there's so many good ones out there. And I know from just our brief stint before, Kayla and I specifically got way turned on to the Scream franchise. Um, yes, I made that statement. I said that like to it. We love to watch it. And again, where can you find us, Matt? What's the name of this channel now? What do we
So
call
we are where we've always been. This is youtube.com/picture this film reviews. That has not changed. The channel name has changed a bit. When we took our hiatus, we I kind of did some standalone things and kind of released, I'll say, everything that I've ever had made, whether it was me behind a camera or me doing a YouTube show like this or me doing a podcast or just home videos or whatever it was. It's now available on the channel as well. So the channel name is now Matt Knows Best. So if you go to youtube.com/picture this film reviews, you'll get taken to Matt Knows Best. And you might be like, what is this? But just scroll down just a hair. You'll see the newest videos that were uploaded. You'll see this video. And then if you scroll down just a little bit more where all the playlists are listed, you'll find Picture This Film Reviews where you can go through the archives and see every single episode, even back when it was the MDVA Movie Club, even when we had Wyatt and Seth and, all those other guys. Every episode's there. So that's that.
Yeah, you can also catch us at Picture This Film Reviews on Instagram as well as Facebook. I am doing or going to be trying to do my due diligence to keep up with that. I know Matt is
Trying to
looking to
stay on you.
he's looking to take that over from me if I slip up even one bit. So I got to do the one thing that I'm responsible for, to be honest, with this channel. But awesome kudos to Matt for what you do for the channel and the content that you bring out. Check all of this stuff out. It's a lot of interesting things on there. A lot of if you're into wrestling, if you're into just other
Yes.
regular talk shows like outside of movies. You got stuff out of real life, interviews with brothers, with some other individuals throughout his life. It's really, really interesting, neat stuff. So,
Yeah.
but
Appreciate
I
that.
think that about wraps us up. I know Matt usually closes us with his handle. I'm not going to take that away from him because it's one of my favorite parts of these shows. So, Matt, what do you have to say to us?
Everybody have a great week. Join us next week as we come back for the Evil Dead Rise. And of course, love one another.
See you guys.